Hey, everybody. The other NHL playoff series to wrap up last night was the Dallas Stars versus Minnesota Wild. Dallas goes on the road into Minnesota, wins game 6, and closes out the series. A big win for them. And we're going to take a look, do our series review here, and also look at my 3 stars of the series between the Stars and the Wild. So let's get into it here. Taking a look, a 6-game series win for Dallas, 4-2 over Minnesota. And Dallas certainly deserved to win this series. They outscored the Wild 21-14 over the course of the 6 games. They were better on special teams. They were better 5-on-5. The Dallas Stars flat out outplayed the Minnesota Wild, particularly late in this series. The last 2 games were all Stars. Ultimately, Dallas outscored Minnesota combined 8-1 in games 5 and 6. And obviously, those were the last 2 wins the Stars needed to move on to round number 2. So if we look at this, obviously very clear advantage, Dallas statistically, pretty much across the board. Better offense, better defense, great goaltending. Special teams, we look at the power play numbers. 9 for 24 on the power play for Dallas in this series. Phenomenal production from the man advantage. Minnesota's penalty kill was absolutely brutal. And, that played a big role. That resulted in a lot of goals for Dallas and played a big role in the fact that the Stars won this series. And on the other side, Minnesota's power play, not nearly the same results, not nearly as good, just 4 for 22 on the man advantage. Just not good enough to get the job done there. Goaltending-wise, this was an interesting series looking at the goalies because Jake Oettinger for the Stars was absolutely outstanding and played every minute of this series. On the other side, you had Filip Gustavsson from Minnesota, who actually did play very well. You also had Marc-Andre Fleury start game 2. He also played a little bit in game number 6 as well, but it was really the game 2 start that may have completely changed this series, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But first, I want to look at Jake Oettinger because he was phenomenal in goal. He's been certainly one of the best goaltenders in the league in this first round. 4-2 with a .929 save percentage, 2.01 goals against average, and 4.3 goals saved above expected as of right now. That is 3rd best in the league in these playoffs. The only goaltenders higher are Akira Schmid and Igor Shesterkin, both from that Devils-Rangers series that's been extremely low scoring. But Oettinger was phenomenal and played a huge role in Dallas winning this series. On the other side, things get interesting because Filip Gustavsson, despite not winning the series, played very, very well. He did go 2-3, but had a .921 save percentage, a 2.33 goals against average, and 2.4 goals saved above expected. Not quite as good as Oettinger, but still very solid goaltending, and he played well. Marc-Andre Fleury, on the other hand, absolutely horrific. 0-1 with that Game 2 loss being the loss, a .811 save percentage. 8-11. I mean, absolutely horrific. 5.48 goals against average and a league worst minus 3.6 goals saved above expected. League worst. He played one in a part of another game. And he has, out of any goaltender in these playoffs, the worst goals saved above expected. He was absolutely horrible. And I truly think that decision to play Fleury in game number 2 may have cost the Wild this series. It was a complete momentum killer after they were able to steal game 1 in Dallas in overtime. It was a complete momentum killer, and Minnesota really never looked the same after that. And I just, we'll never know for sure because, They did play Fleury, but I have a real strong feeling that if Philip Gustafson played game 2 as well as he played in this series, there would have been a real opportunity for the Wild to win that game, a real opportunity for them to possibly steal both games in Dallas and completely change the outlook of this series. But we'll never know because Fleury played game 2. He got lit up like a Christmas tree, absolutely embarrassed, and Dallas went on to win it in 6. So taking a look now at the 3 stars of the series, this was kind of hard to narrow it down to just 3 because a lot of star players played well, especially as we got deeper in this series. But I'm going to go with Tyler Seguin as my 3rd star. Forward for Dallas, finished a point-per-game player, 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points, a +1 rating, and 2 game-winning goals. This is the Tyler Seguin that the Dallas Stars need if they're going to go deep into the playoffs and contend for a Stanley Cup. He certainly showed up in round number 1. He looks healthy. He's producing. This is why Tyler Seguin got the contract that he got. This is what the Stars need from him. He brought it in the first round. The Stars are going to need him to bring it like this the rest of the way, but he was absolutely fantastic. 2nd star of the series, got to get the goaltender on here, Jake Oettinger. He was so good. Again, 4-2, .929 save percentage, 2.01 goals against. Top 3 in the league in goals saved above expected in these playoffs. Oettinger was lights out, did everything he needed to do for the Stars to win this series. And just phenomenal, especially in games 5 and 6, those closeout games for Dallas. He gave up a grand total of 1 goal. So that's all you need to know right there about Jake Oettinger. The number 1 star of this series, this was not even close. Easy decision here. Forward Roope Hintz, 2 points per game in this series. 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points, a +3 rating, a shorthanded goal. He was absolutely unreal offensively in this series. And right now, as of me recording this video, leads the NHL in points in the playoffs. Now, as more series go on, and we know at least a couple of them are going 7 games, that might change. But as of recording now, Hintz leads the NHL in playoff scoring. 12 points in 6 games, just ridiculous series from him. Lit it up offensively and was a driving force of why Dallas was able to score as much as they did. And obviously, those goals helped them win this series. So those are my 3 stars of the series. In the end, the Dallas Stars get the job done, beating the Minnesota Wild in 6 games, and they fully deserved it, especially as the series went on. They played better and better. Minnesota absolutely laid down, particularly in games 5 and 6, was very disappointed with the lack of pushback from Minnesota, the lack of energy. Just they looked dead from game 5 on. It was like they didn't even want to be there. They had already accepted that the series was over. They were awful in game 5. Another garbage performance in game 6. Dallas was just by far the more deserving team here. And for Minnesota, this is another very disappointing first-round exit that continues to be the norm with the Wild. You know, everyone talks about the Leafs always losing in the first round, and because it's the Leafs, they garner all this attention and whatnot, and the star players they have and all of that. But Minnesota has really become the Leafs of the West. I mean, you look at the Wild, they've made the playoffs now, I believe 7 of the last 8 years, and they've lost in the first round every single time they've made the playoffs. Like, they have not gotten out of the first round the last 7 playoff appearances. They're a first round exit every single time. And that continues again this year. So very disappointing from the Wild. Really disappointed with their lack of fight late in the series. It really just seemed like they rolled over and died and really just didn't care that much. In Dallas was definitely the more deserving and better team. So the Stars get the job done. They roll on to round number 2, and they'll face the winner of the Seattle-Colorado series that is going 7. And that is going to be a really fun matchup, whoever they play. But they're playing really good hockey right now.